Bluff City Media presents the Two Buck Sports Show. Stepping up to the microphone are your hosts, Drew Gann and Rusty Witten. Now, let's get to the show.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to your Thursday edition of the Two Buck Sports Show. I am your co-host, Rusty Buckets, checking in live with you on Wednesday, because as you're listening to this, I am in Atlanta for work. It's just that travel time of the year. Travel for my birthday. I'm out of town today. I'm out of town in 2 weeks. And so it's just a busy spring season. But I am glad to be here with my guy, Drew Gann, Uncle Buck. What's happening, brother? How you holding up?
It's another day in paradise. It's beautiful outside. The sunshine. The sky is clear. I don't have much that I should be complaining about, but it's been a day. You deal with vehicles in the shop, and there's nothing that can just suck the sun right out of a sunny day than dealing with a broke down vehicle. So yeah. I'm not going to dwell on it. We're going to, in fact, I'm just going to right on past it. We're going to move on to our first segment.
I was in your shoes last year. I can relate. I know how hard that is. But if I know my buddy, Drew Gann, I know one thing that'll make him feel better about his current situation. And that will be to talk college basketball. Today on our Real versus Counterfeit segment, I have been dogging him all week and cutting him off and ending shows and not letting him take a victory lap. So in honor of your van troubles, sir, we're going to talk Sweet 16 teams. I've got 4 teams listed here, and I'm just going to point blank ask you, do you think they're a real team or do you think they're counterfeit? I'm gonna put the first one up on a tee, then I'm going to leave the room because I don't really want to listen to it.
This is part of friendship. You've got to deal with me.
I know. First up, Ole Miss, real or counterfeit?
This team has always been, it's kind of been up and down all year. The thing about, why do I have to, there we go. I thought it was going to have to make me sign into my tournament challenge app again, but no, here we are. The thing I've always appreciated about Chris Beard, you just look at him historically, his teams get on runs, and it's because they play chaotic defense. It's just wide open. And that's kind of what Ole Miss has done this year. When they've been good, they've played really good defense, forced a lot of teams into a lot of turnovers. Even they played Auburn close the last time that they played, and it's because in the second half they forced 15 or so turnovers against Auburn, and then they don't turn the ball over. So it's just a numbers game. Can we get up more shots than you? And the team's very veteran this year. You brought in a senior transfer from Virginia Tech who has been absolutely incredible, Sean Padula, and then the white guy with the headband. Who can't respect that? Yeah. You've got a fifth-year senior, the guy that's played the most games as an Ole Miss Rebel in history, in Matthew Morrell from Memphis, Tennessee. He's been good. Then you get transfer guys like Malik Dia, who's been absolutely incredible. And the best story in college basketball, in my opinion, a story that hasn't been talked about enough, a friend of the show, Gary Parrish, wrote a story for CBS Sports about Jamin Brakefield. I'm sure you didn't see it. You probably saw the Ole Miss jersey and scanned right on
headline, and then just kept skipping.
Yeah. Yeah. And so basically the story of Jamin Brakefield is he went to Duke for a year, and he was a 2-year starter at Ole Miss coming into this season, and willingly accepted a bench role. In fact, offered up himself as a bench player to Chris Beard going into the season. But the best story about Jamin Brakefield is that with his NIL money that he got, and Ole Miss has got plenty of it, and they're using it on basketball. But he moved, he finished his college career at one of the big schools in the Northeast. Don't ask me where, the basketball factories. And coming into this season, he had a bond with a kid there. I believe he was the coach's kid who was really starting to go down the wrong path there in one of the rougher neighborhoods in which he attended high school. And he went to that kid's parents and more or less adopted him, moved him to Oxford, Mississippi, and has been a parent to this kid, this teenage kid, taking him to school, dropping him off. and he has credited his ability to do this to the fact that he's making money as a college athlete. He couldn't do it without it. I don't know. It's just a great story. I think everybody should go read that when you get a chance. But Ole Miss got a good draw. You know, you got to play a play-in. One of the teams coming into the play-in, I guess, in from the play-in, in North Carolina, and
not your dad's North Carolina, right? Like they're not North Carolina.
Well, I mean,
past.
Yeah, they struggled in big games. They did blow out San Diego State, and they're 2 years removed from a finals team. And it's a team that they didn't win good games this year. Like they were 1-12 against quad one teams, but it's a team that's got the pedigree. It's a team that's has got the R.J. Davis is a really good college basketball player and has been forever. Had the recipe there, but you blew the doors off of them in the first half. You survived the second half, and then you matched up against the 3-seed Iowa State team that you just killed them. I mean, just straight up. It's really hard to put it any other way.
Iowa State's one of those teams like this. Typically, like they come in really hyped into the tournament and then they get bit early. And so, of all the 3 seeds, I think for you to face, Iowa State was a good one because of that history of getting bounced early.
Comparatively speaking, I think Kentucky's a 3 seed. I can't think other 3 seeds.
Yeah, Kentucky was a 3 seed. Texas Tech was a 3 seed. Which Wisconsin was a 3 seed. They lost to BYU. I mean, Wisconsin or Iowa State would have been the draws that you wanted.
Yeah, and so it was a good draw, but they're a solid team, and I mean, I think most people picked Iowa State and probably should have, but Ole Miss is just kind of getting going at the right time, and now they play Michigan State, and at this point, it's all gravy. Yeah. Are they real? I think any team that can force turnovers and play defense, and you've got a coach like Beard that's done this with smaller schools and bigger schools, he did it at Little Rock. He did it at Texas Tech. He was on the way to doing it at Texas. Tom Izzo obviously respects him. I don't know if you saw the clip of Tom Izzo as they're going off the court after winning that game, punching their ticket to the Sweet 16. And they said, "You meet Chris Beard." And he was like, "Can I enjoy this without having to think about Chris Beard?" It's obvious he's got the respect of Tom Izzo, but listen, it's all gravy at this point. I think they can beat Michigan State.
Yeah. Again, it's a good draw. Michigan State's a good team, but there would have been tougher 2 seeds to face. I feel like this is setting up for an Ole Miss Cinderella type run to the Elite Eight. And there you're going to face a challenge. You've got Auburn or Michigan. Feel like Auburn's going to handle Michigan. And that's where you'll really, if you can get past Auburn, then you've earned that spot to the Final Four for sure.
Like I said, it's all gravy at this point. I honestly love that we're going up against Blue Bloods. Yeah. Like, if you can make a run, because Ole Miss doesn't do this, okay? Yeah. Like, I'm a fan. I expect I want the best, but I'm not stupid on the history of Ole Miss basketball. Like, we don't do this, okay? We got put out in the round of 32 by LaSalle in our best chance to make the Sweet 16 since 2001, okay? Like, I love the fact that we're playing marquee teams.
Yeah,
I like we're not running up against the Cinderella. I want to play North Carolina. I want to play Iowa State. I want to play Michigan State, and then Michigan or Auburn. Either one's a blue blood. I'd rather play Michigan.
Yeah, yeah, that's the one where it's like, I'd rather take the 5 seed than the 1 seed. But I do think, like you said, it's a team that creates chaos, and chaos in March wins basketball games, and that's what Auburn does. That's what Florida does, and that's what Ole Miss has been doing so far this year. So
if they create chaos and they've got good guard play that doesn't turn over the ball.
Exactly. So we'll be much briefer on the next 3. Next one I got up is the Fighting John Calipari's. Arkansas has somehow slipped into the Sweet 16 as a 10 seed. Again, beating some Blue Bloods. Maybe not as much of a team. I mean, they beat Kansas in the first round, which was a phenomenal win, a big upset. Then in the second round, they beat St. John's, coached by Rick Pitino. So it's a battle of the old heads there. On their way to facing Texas Tech this weekend. Drew, is Arkansas real or counterfeit?
I think they're dangerous. They kind of underachieved all year.
They believe.
And they underachieved all year, and a lot of people just like want to chalk that up to Calipari, and I get it. Calipari is probably more known for not making it as far as he should have with teams that he could win it all with. But what's true about this Arkansas team is they've got two guys that are going to be drafted in the NBA draft. Now they're late first, early second round picks with Boogie Flan and Adu Theo or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
They're both coming off of injuries, like just getting healthy. And so, yeah, I mean, they could be a little dangerous. I don't put as much stock in them. Who do they match up with in Sweet 16?
Texas Tech, who is a good team.
Yeah.
But it is a winnable game. Texas Tech was taken to the wire by Drake, who I had winning and playing St. John in this matchup. But again, it's a winnable game for Arkansas. And if you win that one, you match up with Florida or Maryland. And so, Calipari's got this team, just much like Ole Miss, believing at the right time, bought in at the right time. And same thing, they're forcing a ton of turnovers. They made Kansas turn the ball over every other time down the floor, and they're just playing good defense. And so I think that's going to be a matchup to watch. Texas Tech is really good. They've got that one guard who is a Toppin, who's really, really good.
Yeah.
But if you can control him, you can beat Tech. And so maybe this is a way for Arkansas to sneak into the Elite Eight. Last two, really brief about these. BYU, 6 seed, facing Alabama. Real or counterfeit, Drew?
Real until they played Alabama.
Yeah.
I don't buy much of. I think Alabama is just really good. It's no scratch against BYU. Ole Miss beat BYU earlier this season, and BYU's got a draft pick that is. Let's see, I was pulling up Tankathon here. They've got him going 15th. Igor Deming, 6'9", freshman point guard / shooting guard out of. I think he's like Lithuanian or something like that.
Yeah.
But he's really good. But yeah, BYU in their first year under their new coach is not going to beat Alabama.
Now, he's done a good job. A lot of people are high on him as a young up and coming next big head coach, but Alabama's really good. And I have Alabama in the Final Four upsetting Duke. So that'll be a tough draw. Last one. Maryland almost doubles up Grand Canyon in their first game, beats Colorado State at the last second in the round of 32 and face Florida this weekend. So, Drew, Maryland, real or counterfeit? I guess we'll find out playing Florida.
Yeah, I'm out. Counterfeit. Memphis fans probably found a way to be a little bit more positive after losing in the first round to Colorado State, except for the fact that Derek Queen hit that shot at the buzzer. If you could, Tigers fans would have loved to see Colorado State in the Sweet 16. But it didn't matter. Florida's going to beat them. I mean, Florida's really good. Derek Queen is a top 15 pick as well.
Yeah, for sure. So some talent this weekend. If you ain't got anything else going on, watch some college basketball. This is when it gets real. And this shows like I was reading online earlier, NIL has changed, right? Changed the game. We don't have the Cinderellas of old. Like there's not a Drake or a George Washington or a FIU or whoever, FAU, Florida Gulf Coast. Let me get it right.
But also FAU, who went to the
FAU. That's right. I forgot about that. So these small schools aren't as competitive this year, but the viewership is up. And a lot of the projections are saying that this is going to be a highly watched Sweet 16. And you look, and it's all blue bloods. You got Maryland there. You got BYU. You got some teams. Yeah, and Ole Miss was the last one I was going to say.
Blue blood.
But you got your higher seeds that are there. And so it should be some good basketball this weekend. Watch college basketball.
Yeah, if you're going to be a lower tier school, you got to hit it right. You've got to capitalize on the opportunity that you've got in the tournament, because if you do make your run, your team's going to get robbed.
That's it. So, all right. Well, let's shift gears. We've been talking college basketball. Now let's talk about them Grizz.
All right, it's Grizzlies time. We are recording this Wednesday afternoon around lunchtime. And so we are, 12 hours removed from the Grizzlies' big win in Utah against the Utah Jazz. And when I say big, I mean only in the differential, because the game itself is, whatever. The Grizzlies win by 37 against the Utah Jazz. Rusty, what positives do you take from it before I'm sure we're going to get into your negatives?
Well, I don't want to spend too much time on the Jazz game. It's a couple days ago. It's been covered ad nauseum. I think, we showed that we could close. We showed that we could figure it out in the second half. We showed some fight, even if it was on the sideline with Desmond Bane and Santi Aldama, which I personally am a fan of. I wanted to see that show some passion and some competitiveness. I'm not mad at that one tiny bit. But yeah. Huh?
But I mean, Santi, he's one of the good ones.
Santi's got a temper, man. Like Santi can get feisty. We've seen it a few times, and I don't know if you remember. I saw this earlier on Twitter. Last year, we were playing the Lakers. I guess it was last November, November 23, excuse me, was when it was playing the Lakers. Santi and AD kind of get into it. AD checks Santi a little bit, and who's the first person to run up and defend him? Is Desmond Bane. And so I think it's just a competitive fire. Somebody was reading lips and said that he was telling him to get stops, talking about defensive stuff, which we know Santi could be suspect. But personally, again, I like it, man. I'm a fan. It showed some fight. The mustachioed Marauder was upset, and Desmond Bane pushed him, and I have no problem with it.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I want to see some fight. I'd rather see you push somebody else, not your teammate. But I get it. Right. I get it.
Yeah, for sure. And so the Grizzlies found a way to win, and that's all that matters. We needed to get off the slide. We need to get off the skid that we came in 3-game losing streak, particularly with the 4 games we have coming up that we'll talk about later in our Before We Talk Again segment. We desperately needed that win Tuesday night.
Right. No, it was a big one, and it was a win that you hope you can gain some confidence from. Nobody here is acting like this was like some massive win that should be leading Sports Center or anything like that. The Jazz have won 15 or 16 games this season, but the feeling is the same. Everything worked. Everybody's in a good mood. Everybody's happy. You won by 37. It was a fun game. Carry that in. Don't think about who it was against. That doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. So that leads me to the first thing I want to talk about here on the Two Buck Sports Show. Reminder, we are live every Tuesday and Thursday. This Thursday, it's pre-recorded, but we're here every Tuesday, Thursday during your lunch break. Bluff City Media on YouTube, bluffcitymedia.co. Tonight, as of y'all's listening, we are facing an uphill battle. The Oklahoma City Thunder are hosting us in their home. It used to be called Chesapeake Arena, whatever it's called now. But
we're playing. To look it up? Is it going to bother you?
No, we're playing in Oklahoma at Oklahoma City tonight, and against a team that's already clinched their division, clinched the Western Conference, but continues to beat teams to a pulp. And so we've got an uphill battle, Drew. I'm not sitting here saying, let's carry that momentum from the Jazz win and go upset the Thunder. It could happen. That's why you play the game. But what do you need to see from this team tonight to build on the confidence from that Jazz win?
Oh, listen. If you keep, that's why I said just forget that it was the Jazz and just say big win. That was a big win. That was
big
fun.
Win, period.
Yeah, big win. That was fun, and that's the thing. It looked like they were having fun. The offense looked good. The defense showed up in the second half once they decided to start playing. So just take that, and just take that the success and the fun. This team has relied way too much all season on vibes. Vibes are pretty high after a 37-point win. So just take those vibes back home. It's at Oklahoma City. So take those and then just go out there and fight. I mean, listen, a 20-point loss against the Oklahoma City Thunder doesn't necessarily mean you played poorly, okay? But you got to go out there with a little bit of swagger, a little bit of zestiness, and act like you believe. And you've got to treasure the ball. The most important thing I think I gleaned from the Utah game was Scottie Pippen was incredible, and he turned the ball over 0 times. If you're going to have a prayer at beating or even staying in the game against Oklahoma City, you cannot turn over the basketball because they are going to swipe. They are going to get in passing lane. They're going to try to turn you over and get in transition as much as possible. So seeing guys like Scottie Pippen, and I think the Grizzlies as a team only had 8 turnovers, I think, for the game.
Jazz, 8 turnovers.
That's what you've got to do. If there's one thing that you have to do, you've got to prize your possessions. And then if you're not turning the ball over, just hope you make some shots, because that's suspect as well right now.
Right. And, coming to this game, Oklahoma City is a very physical team. They've been in and out. They've been in the hot seat with a lot of coaches over the last couple of weeks. JB Bickerstaff and several others have called out the NBA officiating because the Thunder are very physical with their hand checks and getting in on players when they're bringing the ball up.
Yeah, they're physical on defense and soft on offense.
Exactly. The big frustration is then you can't touch SGA and some of their players on offense. So for me, I need to see some fight. Yes, that's going to be frustrating. That's going to be something that we can't change. But can you overcome that? Can you stay pesky? Can you stay focused? For me, what happens all too often in these big games, and again, we recorded this Wednesday. I don't know if Ja's playing. I'm going to say probably not, since he's still just been out with a hamstring strain and no update. But you can't let those moments frustrate you. How many times this year have we seen Ja and Dez and other guys get frustrated when calls aren't going their way? And before you know it, it's a 3-on-2 break at the other end, and it's an easy bucket for the other team. You've got to keep your head because you're not going to get those calls. Oklahoma City is. And so can you keep your head when it gets tough? Because we have not been a team this year that's handled adversity very well.
No, that's totally true. And that comes from your superstars. I mean, you've got to set that tone. And as much as we love guys like Santi and even BC before he got hurt and Scottie Pippen and their energy, they seem to bring the fight. It didn't matter if John Morant didn't have it. And so right now it is up to Jaren and up to Desmond Bane to have that fight and bring that fight. And the other guys are going to have to follow their lead. I know Ja's not in the game. I know he's not playing, but so for right now, you're going to have to set the tone yourself and look at the guys that are playing. It's obvious to me that Desmond Bane is feeling some pressure. He is absolutely ready to fight and to scrap and to end this season the way that we want them to end this season, with the amount of intensity that it takes, that is required for a playoff push the last 11 games of the season. And so everybody needs to follow that.
I think you're right. It falls on the players, 98%. I would also like to see 2% come from Taylor Jenkins. The guy is coaching for his life, essentially. And I wouldn't mind seeing if somebody needs to step up and get a tech, let Taylor go get it. Let him be the guy. Let him berate and be upset with the officials, and you get back on defense and play your game. Like, don't let adversity on one end, it's just like you can't let a play beat you twice. Right? You don't get a call at the other end. You can't not hustle back on defense. And I'm talking specifically about one player, but it does trickle out to others. And so I just want to see some toughness. I want to see some guys be mentally tough tonight in a hostile environment against a very good team.
Yeah. We're all telling you right now, any of the players listening, if this is the first, if you're listening, I'm just telling you right now, something you already know. You're not going to get the foul calls tomorrow. No. So don't let it be a surprise when you don't get the foul calls tomorrow.
That's it. Tonight. SGA's going to get them. Aaron Wiggins is going to get them. Dort is not going to get called for hand checking you on defense. But so you just got to revert back to playing street ball, just like we all did growing up, right? In the backyard with your brothers or cousins, where it gets a little bit rough and handsy. That's part of the game. Go play ball. That's just what you got to do. And so, Drew, I think tonight is.
So you heard it here, guys. Rusty gets handsy with his brother.
Of all the things to pull out, that's what you're going to hear. Anyway, I want to keep moving right along. Tonight is absolutely there's always a chance you can win a basketball game, but tonight is about building momentum. Can we be competitive heading into the weekend where there might be some more winnable games? We'll talk about that in our next segment, how that can shake out. But Drew, with the playoff picture, where we're sitting, we are currently 4th in the Western Conference as of this recording. Again, there's a lot of basketball happening tonight. On Wednesday night, we are Pacer fans, Knick fans, and Buck fans. Y'all let us know in the comments who won, if we got any assistance. Because if any of those teams win, we could actually gain ground on the Nuggets, pull within a half game of them if they lose tonight. The Lakers, we could move up by a full game. ahead of them. And the Clippers, we could distance ourselves by another half game, putting our lead over the play-in by 4 games. And so, Drew, like, we put ourselves in a situation, right, where it's like the old BCS, like you need some help to get there. What are you looking for? Are you looking at any of the, like, what do you think about our playoff seeding, I guess is what I'm saying. We're sitting in the 4th seed. Do you think 4th is where we're going to end up? Or how much wiggle room do you think is left for us with 10 games remaining?
No, I don't necessarily think that 4 is locked in there. I mean, you just kind of went through it, and with our schedule that's coming up with a game against the Lakers, a game against the Celtics, a game against the Nuggets,
Warriors.
I think. Warriors. All right. 3 losses can go a long way. The only reason why we're in the spot we are now is because the other teams ahead of us are not winning either.
Right.
So it's only the teams behind us. So, honestly, at this point, I'm not worried about seeding because I don't look at any of the 7, 8, 9 teams competing for a playoff spot right now and think that we have an obvious advantage over any of them. I mean, if I'm just being honest, we've had a lot of success against Minnesota. So, I mean, maybe if I had to pick one, it would be them, but they're one of the hotter teams right now. There's definitely 3 teams I'd want to dodge. You know, I don't want to play Oklahoma City, the Lakers, or the Warriors. But at this point, more than seeding and first-round matchups, just do what you've got to do to have some confidence going into whatever matchup, because I don't think we will or should be favored in any of them. So do what you've got to do to feel good about yourself as a team and unlock whatever underdog, scrappy, nobody believes in us attitude. Find that. And then be healthy and confident going in.
Because the most dangerous team is a team that doesn't know any better. That they just playing like because they just don't think that anybody. They think everybody's out to get them, and they have no business being there. And so that's kind of where we are, right? I think for me, I'd rather stay either in the 4 seed and be the home team against the Lakers if it ended today, or if we fell to the 6 seed and had to play Denver. Because Jokic is Jokic. We match up well with Denver, but they only got 6 guys that are NBA players. I feel like of the matchups, that might be a more favorable one of the ones that we can end up in. But dear God, don't get us into play-in and having to play the Clippers, the T-Wolves, or the Kings. Like, we match up well with the Timberwolves. But, like, if you fall to the play-in, like, it's going to be ugly. If
you want to talk about, like, pushing your chips in on the table on one matchup, I'll take the 7th seed and go against Houston. The only reason why I'm not like standing on the table begging for a matchup with Houston is because we're not playing well, and you would have to win in the play-in, or you lose and potentially exit altogether without the playoffs, or you play Oklahoma City, which is a lost cause. But I think I would rather out of any of these teams be the 7th seed and play Houston, or hope Houston drops to the 3 and we could fall to the 6. If Houston, with a week into the season, if Houston's looking like they're going to be the 3 seed, I'm trying, losing, winning, whatever you've got to do to get to the 6 seed.
Houston is an interesting matchup because for 3 games they bullied us and took our lunch money, and then we figured out the recipe and beat them in the 4th. And they figured it out. They're 9-1 in their last 10. Like, they've been very hot, but teams like that are going to do one of 2 things. If they stay hot, I want to avoid them at all costs. But the regression to the mean is a real thing. And if you come into the playoffs and you get some time off and then you kind of stumble a little bit, that might be a matchup that we could exploit and sneak past.
Like I said, I don't like ourselves in any of the matchups really, but I would take that one just over their youth, and it's their first time in the playoffs. We're not a perfect team by any means, because I guarantee you every other team right now wants to play Memphis.
Yeah, for sure.
That's just true.
For sure.
Because the teams that are struggling have veteran-laden, been there, done that guys. We don't. So this is the best case you can make for Memphis moving to the East as well. I mean,
absolutely. Good God, man. Because, like, you move us to the Eastern Conference and, like, we bowl over these teams. Like, we're firmly in the top 3 in the
there's
Eastern
a chance
right
that
now.
a really good Sacramento team with DeMar and what's his name?
Zach LaVine
and DeMontis Sabonis are just going to miss the playoffs altogether.
Yeah, because Sabonis got hurt.
Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker are likely going to miss the playoffs altogether.
Yeah. Yeah.
And look up the Eastern Conference seeding and tell me how many of those teams are over 500.
Oh yeah, in the
5?
Western Conference. Hang on, the Western
6?
Conference. The first one under 500 is the 12 seed Blazers. The first one under 500 in the Eastern Conference is the 7 seeded Hawks at 35 and 37.
Yeah, 35 and 37. That record is what's Phoenix's record?
Phoenix is 35 and 37 in the 10. Yeah.
The Phoenix would be a 7 seed, 6 seed.
Yeah.
And if you made them play an Eastern Conference schedule, it'd be 5-7 games over 500.
I mean, it'd be the same for us. Like, we've played really well against the Eastern Conference, not Brooklyn. We took, 1 out of 3 from Brooklyn. But like, you put us in the Eastern Conference and we're top 2-3 seed every single year. So Adam Silver, you're listening. I know you probably are. Do the right thing. Move us to the Eastern Conference, please. But before we do all that, we do have some games coming up and a weekend ahead of us before our Tuesday show.
All right. It is time to look forward to the weekend. We love doing this. Thursday is like you've passed hump day and you're almost to Friday, and everybody knows on Friday we just don't do much, okay? Call it
especially a college
2.5 day
Friday.
weekend,
Especially college basketball Friday. We ain't doing nothing.
Oh yeah, Ole Miss plays. They both. If I haven't told you, Ole Miss is in the Sweet 16, men and women. So the men play at 6 and the women play at 9, I think. So don't call me Friday night.
No.
But the Grizzlies have a murderous row. We've talked about the game tonight against the Thunder. Then they play the Lakers on Friday. Is that Saturday?
Saturday, and then Monday, and then Tuesday.
Monday against the Warriors. Tuesday against the Celtics.
Other way around. So we've got the Thunder tonight, Lakers Saturday night, the Celtics. So we got the Lakers and the Celtics at home, and the Warriors. And we get a 3-game homestand against 3 of the best teams in the NBA. And so if you're a fan and you want to go watch some players, that might be some good games to go to. But it's going to be brutal. Drew, LeBron's not 100%. Maybe you can sneak one against the Lakers, but
he's 100%. Yeah, he's not going to play, though. He's not going to play in Memphis. He never plays in Memphis.
That's fair. It's always, Of the games, though, that's the one that you feel like you can sneak, right? Because the Celtics are really good, an absolute buzzsaw right now. The Warriors are streaking and playing good basketball.
Yeah.
Of those games, like over the weekend, the Lakers feels like the one that you have got to get, because I don't know that we're going to beat Boston again. I don't know that we can beat the Warriors as hot as they're playing right now. Maybe. But I feel like the Lakers of the 3 are the one that we're going to have to get.
Yeah, I think that's the easiest one. Just because you kind of hope that you come in and you catch them on, maybe LeBron doesn't play. Like I said, he doesn't play against the Grizzlies in Memphis. And then, the Celtics don't necessarily scare me, because I feel like the Celtics roll a loaded dice every time they play. They're going to shoot a ton of threes. Most of the time they make enough to win, 60, 70% of the time. But 30% of the time they're just going to lose because they just don't shoot. They don't make the shots. It's that simple. So maybe that's what happened when you won in Boston this year. They just didn't shoot well.
Right. And so maybe we'll get lucky. But the Grizzlies have got an opportunity to make some ground up. I mean, crap, if you beat the Lakers and somehow beat the Warriors, then you've done yourself a solid in the playoff seeding position. But Drew, that's enough basketball. Grizzlies are what they are. They're going to win. They're going to lose. But it's not going to impact our weekend one way or the other. What do you got going on this weekend, bud?
Yeah, I'm hoping not much, if I'm being honest with you. Ole Miss plays a 3-game series against at home against Florida. So I've been offered tickets to maybe go to one of those games on Saturday. Hopefully maybe get the chance to do that. But ultimately, as much as we've been going, we've been to Florida 2 weeks ago. Last weekend, we had ball tournaments and a broken van. This weekend, I hope to have a van back. That would be a good start. Yeah. And then probably doing nothing because I can't afford it, because van story.
Sure.
You know?
Sure.
But if I have no money and it results in a weekend at home where we do nothing, I'd take it, I think.
That's not
I
bad.
just really want a weekend at home.
I hear you. Yeah. So same, because I was in Kentucky all last week having a great time with Maggie. As of you're listening, I am currently in Atlanta, Georgia in meetings all day Thursday, most of the day Friday. I flew out Thursday morning at 6:50 from Memphis. I will land at 10:30 Friday night. So it's going to be a long travel weekend. So we don't have any plans this weekend that I'm aware of. And I don't hate that. I hope that the weather's nice. I can sit outside, read a book, and relax, because I'm here all next week, and then I have a big trip coming up the next week for a quick turn and burn 3-day trip, which we'll talk about as it gets a little bit closer. But yeah, I'm hoping
is this the good one?
This is the good one.
With Lauren? Yeah.
This is with Lauren and Stacy and Maggie. This is a good one. Details to come next week. But yeah, Mississippi State has the Thursday, Friday, Saturday series with LSU. It's at Baton Rouge. We're not playing great baseball. We're pitching well. We're just not hitting the ball super well. So I don't know.
We'll 1-5? Are you 1-5 or 2
in the SEC?
4?
Yeah, we won one. We stole one from Oklahoma. We're 2-4 because we won.
You got
one
swept
against
by
Texas. Yeah, that's right. We did. So yeah, we're 1-5. We're now like 26-30 or 26-36 against SEC teams in the last 3. It's brutal. And so not super optimistic for the LSU series this weekend, but you never know. That's why you play the game. We'll see. But that's going to do it for our show today. Reminder, we are the $2 Sports Show, live every Tuesday, Thursday at the 12 o'clock Central hour on your lunch break, talking all things Grizzlies, college sports, and don't forget the shenanigans that we're going to sprinkle in. Be a friend to somebody who needs a friend, and there are no refunds for what you heard today.
That's right, because with the $2, you always get what you pay for. Have a great weekend, everybody. See you on Tuesday.
Go Grizz.
Thank you for listening to the $2 Sports Show. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a rating and a review wherever you download your podcasts. Also, like and subscribe to Bluff City Media's YouTube page. For comprehensive coverage of all things Memphis sports, head over to www.bluffcitymedia.co and find out how you can become an insider. We will see you back here next time.